Here they come.
Welcome to this week's episode of Here They Come. I'm Paul Ramlow.
And I'm Jessica Schroeder.
Well, Jessica, this Saturday night at Meadowlands Racetrack, their first major stakes final of the season in the $110,500 Presidential Series. A couple of interesting storylines leading into the final. First off, Golden Receiver, who won 2 legs of the series, will be looking to make it a clean sweep. But also on tap will be the final career race of Vintage Master, one of the great pacers of recent times.
Yeah, Vintage Master is a 6-year-old son of Western Ideal trained by Jimmy Takter. He won the second leg of the Presidential Series in 49-2, but he hasn't seen Golden Receiver yet, so that'll be very interesting for the final. But he has made over $2.1 million. He has a mark of 48-1, and he won the Kane and the Adios Pace in 2009, and he won the Ben Franklin in 2010.
Yeah, just an absolutely terrific horse over the course of his career. He will stand stud at Winback Farm of Canada after this race. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes out in that final appearance on the racetrack. Also on tap Saturday night at the Meadowlands, the $74,000 Complex and the $73,000 Clyde Hurt finals. So it's a pretty good racing card at the Meadowlands this Saturday. Well, the Hambletonian Society made the announcement last week that they have signed a new 3-year deal with Meadowlands Racetrack for hosting the Hambletonian, their major racing event of the season. Couple significant changes in years to come, Jessica. In 2013, the purse for the Hambletonian final will be guaranteed at $1 million, but payments for the Hambletonian and its companion filly event, the Hambletonian Oaks, will be lowered, and all finalists will receive purse money. In addition, a heat format will be reintroduced into that race. Then in 2014, the Hambletonian Maturity, a race for 4-year-old trotters, will be implemented. That race will be at a longer distance of 1 1/8 mile. It will have a field of up to 16 competitors, and again, all horses will receive money. Some interesting topics to talk about there.
It'll be interesting to see the Hambletonian do the same-day eliminations and finals that they haven't done since 1997. Previously, from 1998 through 2011, they did the eliminations the week prior and then the final on that first Saturday in August. But from 91 through 97, they did the same-day eliminations and final, which will be very interesting to go back. I'm going to say go back to the roots of what harness racing was, which was heat racing. It's going to be a little different scenario than other types of heat racing like the Kentucky Futurity or the Little Brown Jug where you have to win 2 and 3 on the same day, but I still think it's going to be fascinating to see heat racing at the Meadowlands.
Yeah, I'm kind of a traditionalist myself. I like to see heat racing and harness racing. I don't necessarily want to see it as much as we saw it 20, 30 years ago, but for significant events like the Hambletonian and the Little Brown Jug, I think it just adds a little something. It makes for a little more excitement, and it's certainly going to add a couple more interesting races onto that humongous Hambletonian Day card come 2013.
And even though it's not going to be held on the Hambletonian Day card, I'm really excited for this Hambletonian Maturity to start in 2014. I think having bigger races for the older horses is just going to be another enticement to see more horses racing again after their 3-year-old year. And it's going to be very good to see that even though it's going to be held earlier in the year. Speaking of going back to our roots, Paul, the Wisconsin Harness Horse Association won the 2011 Blue Ribbon Fair Award. I actually got to go back to my hometown this past weekend to make the announcement to the WHHA at their annual meeting, and they were very excited to receive the award. They used $1,250 from the USTA and then used $1,250 of their own money to implement a statewide marketing program, a marketing and promotions initiative to promote all the racing in Wisconsin, not just one particular fair. They called it the Harness the Stars Tour, and their website for that was wisconsinharnessracingtour.com. So they brought a whole bunch of people around from the state to collaborate on this program, which turned out really well.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting to read about that when the release came out over the past week, and I really had no idea how they managed to tie in the card to where people could get prizes by going to multiple fairs. I think that's a wonderful idea, and it just shows when there's cooperation among multiple fairs, marvelous things can be done.
And in Wisconsin, they don't have any state funding from any parimutuel racing, so they do everything purely on the grassroots level. And at their annual meeting, they raised almost $8,000 to hopefully do even more marketing and promotions, as well as fund their racing for 2012.
Yeah, the WHHA and its efforts will be featured in the June 2012 issue of Hoofbeats. There will also be accompanying video released at that time. You can find it on the USTA Fair website at fairs.ustrotting.com.
Over the weekend, harness racing lost a great supporter, worker, and friend when Tom Thomson passed away on Friday. He was probably most well known for being the director of racing for the Little Brown Jug, but he was also inducted into the Living Hall of Fame in July 2006.
Yeah, Tommy's passing is a significant loss not only for the sport, but for me personally, Jessica. I've been acquainted with Tommy for more than 20 years. He was the longtime president of the Grand Circuit, of which I serve as publicity director and treasurer. Tommy was a goodwill ambassador for the sport, much like his predecessor in the Grand Circuit, Delvin Miller. Tommy traveled all over the country to Grand Circuit races. He was just an outstanding man, a well-known figure. His loss was immeasurable, and the third Thursday in September, this year's Little Brown Jug will certainly not be the same without Tommy. I'd like to offer my sympathy to his wife Sherry, his 4 children, and his 8 grandchildren, and all his many friends throughout the sport of harness racing. Rest in peace, my dear friend.
Over the weekend, 4 USTA district meetings were held in Maine, Ohio, Wisconsin, and Illinois. Now the district meetings are wrapping up pretty soon, and then all the directors will be coming to Ohio for the annual meeting in March.
That's right, Jessica. The USTA's annual meeting will take place in mid-March, and we will be offering once again some live streaming of the meetings. In fact, we're working on some new ways to add some additional coverage during the board meeting this year. As always, you can get all the information on www.ustrotting.com.
Well, that wraps up this week's edition of Here They Come. I'd like to thank our producer, Rich Johnston. I'm Jessica Schroeder.
And I'm Paul Ramlow. Join us again for another exciting episode of Here They Come.